The room is quiet except for the faint hum of the air conditioning. Wan sits alone in front of the mirror, her reflection staring back at her, her hands nervously fidgeted with the delicate lace of her bridal dress. She takes a deep breath, trying to calm her racing thoughts. To herself softly, Wan, I don't even know him. John Jungkook, Heartless mafia lord, they call him. Is this really my life now? She lowers her gaze, her finger brushing against the intricate beading of her dress. The weight of the situation presses down on her, but she quickly shakes her head, looking back at the mirror with determination. Whispering, Wan, no, I trust Appa. He wouldn't choose wrong for me. He promised this is for the best. Her voice falters slightly as she clenches her fist in her lap. Wan, I'm just nervous, that's all. Every bride feels like this, right? She forces a small smile at her reflection, though the worry in her eyes remains. The room is grand, adorned with heavy drapes and luxurious furniture. Wan sits alone on the massive bed, still in her wedding dress. The silence is deafening, broken only by the faint ticking of a clock. Her eyes flicker to the door every few minutes, but it remains closed. Her thoughts race. To herself, frustrated, Wan, who leaves their wife alone on their wedding night? What kind of man? Suddenly there's a knock at the door. Wan's heart skips a beat. She quickly adjusts her posture, thinking it's Jungkook, but as the door opens, two maids step inside, bowing politely. Maid 1, Madam, we were sent by Mr. John to check if you need anything, perhaps some food or juice. Wan, no, thank you. Maid 2 looks at her kindly, her voice soft. Me too, you have had a long day, madam. Are you sure you haven't eaten much since the ceremony? Offhandedly, Wan, I'm fine. I don't feel like eating or drinking anything right now. The maids exchange a glance, hesitating for a moment before Maid 1 speaks again. Maid 1, Mr. John Sr. asked us to ensure you're comfortable. If you change your mind, please let us know. We are here to help. Wan forces a small smile. Wan, thank you, but really I'm fine. You can go. Maid 2 notes, offering a final polite smile. Maid 2, very well, madam. Sleep well. As the maids turn to leave, Wan hesitates, her lip parting as if to ask about Jungkook, but she stops herself, biting her lips. The maids bow again and exit, leaving her alone once more. Moments later, just as Wan loses hope, the door opens again. This time, Jungkook steps in. His tall, imposing figures fill the room. He's dressed in a tight white shirt that highlights his broad shoulders. His expression is cold, unreadable. He doesn't spare Wan a glance as he strides towards the closet. Wan watches him silently, her hands gripping the edge of the bed. He opens the closet, retrieves a set of nightclothes, and turns to leave without a word. The air between them feels icy and heavy. Unable to bear it any longer, Wan speaks. Softly, Wan, Jungkook. He stops in his track, his back still to her. After a moment, he turns his head slightly, his voice low and detached. Jungkook, what? Wan stares at him, searching for words, but nothing comes out. She feels small under his cold gaze. Jungkook sighs and looks away, his tone sharp. Jungkook, if you have something to say, say it. Otherwise, don't waste my time. Her throat tightens as he shakes her head faintly. Jungkook helps, his indifference cutting deeper than words. He turned fully now, his dark eyes meeting hers. Jungkook, don't expect anything from me. I'm not the prince you imagined in your dreams. I only married you because of my parents. His words hit like ice. Wan's lips part as if to respond, but no sound comes out. Jungkook doesn't wait for her reaction. He turns back to the door, his tone flat and final. Jungkook, that's all you need to know. Without another glance, he walks out of the room, closing the door behind him. Wan sits frozen, the silence of the room now heavier than before. Her chest aches, but she refuses to cry, staring blankly at the door as the night stretches on. The first rays of the sunlight streams into the room, but Wan hasn't slept a wink. She sits on the bed, her wedding dress still hanging loosely on her shoulders from the night before. Her eyes are swollen from crying, her thoughts heavy. thinking, one, people were right about him, he's cold, unkind. Is this what really my life is going to be? A loveless marriage, loneliness in this enormous house. Everything I knew, it's gone now. This is my life. She pulls her knees to her chest, resting her head on them as tears threaten to fall again. But before she can succumb to her sorrow, the door creaks open. She quickly wipes her eyes, sitting upright. To her surprise, Jungkook's parents step into the room, their warm smile breaking through the tension of the previous night. Cheerfully, mother-in-law, good morning, dear. Did you sleep well? Smiling, father-in-law, good morning, Wan. We hope you are feeling okay. Wan forces a small smile, her voice soft and polite. Wan, good morning. I slept fine, thank you. Her eyes are drawn to a small figure peeking out from behind her father-in-law. A little boy, no older than 5, stares at her with wide, curious eyes, his mouth slightly agape, as if mesmerized by her beauty. But as soon as he notices him, he quickly hides again. A small smile tugs at her lip, despite her exhaustion. Turning, mother-in-law, oh, you little rascal, come out. She reaches behind her husband and pulls the boy forward by his tiny hands. He stumbles slightly but regains his composure, standing with his arms crossed and a scrunched up face, clearly trying to look tough. His expression contrasts adorably with his small gesture. Firmly, mother-in-law, say hello to your mother. The boy pouts, his voice small and grumpy as he mutters, boy, hello. Wan can't help but chuckle softly at his gesture. She leans forward slightly, her voice kind and gentle. Wan, hello there, good morning. The mother-in-law nudged the boy slightly. Mother-in-law, and what do we say when someone greets us? Say good morning to her. The boy looks up at his grandmother defiantly before yanking his hand free and darting out of the room, his small footstep echoing down the hallway. The mother-in-law sighs, shaking her head with a faint smile. Mother-in-law, he's a handful, that one. I hope he didn't trouble you too much. She turned back to Anne and notices her tired face. Her smile falters, replaced by concern. Her mother-in-law, having just witnessed Anne's pleading smile at the little boy's antics, sighs softly, stepping closer. Her smile fades as she takes in Anne's exhaustion. Gently, mother-in-law, Wan, I know everything you're feeling. After his first wife left, Jungkook changed. He became so cold, stopped caring about anyone. He's built walls around himself so high, not even I can break them anymore. Wan looks sharply, confusion knitting her brows. She interrupted hesitantly, Wan, but I thought his first wife passed away in an accident. Her father-in-law steps forward, his voice low and serious. Father-in-law, no, that's just the story we told the world to protect our family's name. The truth is, she cheated on him and ran away. Wan's eyes widen in shock. Her hands grip the fabric of her dress tightly as her chest tightened with emotion she can't name. Voice thick with emotion, mother-in-law, he gave her everything, his love, his trust, and she shattered it. She left him broken, unrecognizable. Since then, he's become ruthless, cold, as if there's no feeling left in him. I haven't seen him smile once since that day. Her voice cracks and she presses a hand to her chest, trying to steady herself. Tearfully, mother-in-law, it kills me to see him like this. My son, he's lost all hope in love, in happiness, and wine. She pauses, looking directly into Wan's eyes, her expression pleading, mother-in-law, you're our only hope now. You're the only one who can help him heal. Wan's heart aches as guilt washes over her, tears sting her eyes, and she lowered her head, her voice trembling. Wan, I didn't understand him. I judged him without knowing the pain he's been carrying. He's been suffering all this time, and I only thought about myself. Her mother-in-law's expression softens, but Wan's thoughts are soon interrupted as her mind shifts to her little boy's cold behavior earlier. She hesitates before speaking, her voice barely above a whisper. Wan, and his son, why does he act so distant, so much like Jungkook? Her mother-in-law sighs deeply, her face shadowed with sorrow. Mother-in-law, in the beginning he missed his mother terribly. He would cry all day, asking for her, begging to know where she is, when she will come back. He wanted to know why she didn't love him enough to stay. Her father-in-law steps in, his voice heavy with sadness. father-in-law, and then Jungkook told him the truth that his mother left him, abandoned him, that she didn't care about him or anyone else. Since then, the boy has shut himself off. Just like his father, he doesn't trust anyone, doesn't let anyone close. Wan feels a sharp ache in her chest, her heart breaking for both the little boy and Jungkook. She places a trembling hand over her chest, her voice cracking. Wan, that poor child, to grow up thinking his own mother didn't love him, and Jungkook, he must have been trying to protect him, but her voice trails off as tears roll down her cheeks. Her mother-in-law places a comforting hand on her shoulder. Mother-in-law, Jungkook may be cold, but the one thing he truly cares about is his son. That boy is his entire world now, but he's not enough to bring him back to life. As her in-laws leaves the room, Wan sits alone, overwhelmed by the weight of everything she's learned, but instead of despair, something stronger stirs within her, a determination she's never felt before. She wipes her tears and stands, her fist clenched as she looks out of the window, the morning sun casting a soft glow on her face. To herself resolutely, Wan, I won't let this family stay broken. Jungkook, you may have built walls around your heart, but I'll tear them down. You'll smile again, you will trust again. I'll make you mine, no matter how long it takes, and you're Shun. She places a hand over her heart, her eyes pierced with determination. Softly, Wan, I'll show him what a mother's love feels like. I'll build the family you both deserve. This nightmare ends here. Her voice gains strength as she whispers to promise to herself, Wan, I'll make you mine, John Jungkook, no matter what it takes. The scene ends with Wan standing tall, her reflection in the window showing the fire in her eyes as she hopes to change their life for the better. It's a quiet afternoon in the John mansion. Wan wanders into the dining room where she sees Jungkook's son sitting at the large table. His workbook is open and he's gripping the pencil so tightly it looks like it might snap. She watches him for a moment, noticing how hard he is concentrating before walking over and taking the seat next to him. Gently, Wan, hey there, tough guy, what's all this? He glances at her out of the corner of his eyes, clearly trying to ignore her, but his lips press into a stubborn line. Little boy, homework. Leaning closer, Wan looks serious. Do you need any help? He slams the pencil down on the table, crossing his little arms in frustration. Little boy, no, I can do it myself. Smiling patiently, Wan, of course you can. You are a smart kid. But you know, even superheroes need sidekicks sometimes. He finally looks at her, his small brows furrowed. For a moment, it seems like he might say something, but then he shakes his head and goes back to his work. Wan decides to try a different approach. Wan, by the way, I have been meaning to ask, what's your name? I don't think anyone told me. He hesitates as if debating whether to answer her, then mumbles softly, Little boy, Minhoo. Grinning, Wan, Minhoo, that's a great name. It suits you. Minhoo doesn't respond, but his shoulder relaxes slightly. Encouraged, Wan leans her chin on her hand, watching him struggle with his math problem. Wan, you know, I think we would make a pretty good team. What do you think? He pauses, his pencil hovering over the paper. Finally, he turns to her, his expression skeptical. Minhoo, why would I need a team? Playfully, Wan, because we could conquer anything together. I could help you with your homework, and you can help me to figure out how to make your daddy smile again. Minhoo's expression hardened immediately and he glares at her. Minhoo, I don't like girls. Amused, Wan, oh, why is that? Matter of factly, Minhoo, because my daddy says they leave. The weight of his words hit Wan like a punch to her chest, her heart breaking for the little boy in front of her, but instead of showing sadness, she gives him a warm smile. Wan, well, I'm not going anywhere, Minhoo. You and your daddy are stuck with me. Minhoo looks at her, his little eyes narrowing as if trying to figure out if she is telling the truth. After a moment, he finally speaks. Minhoo, you promise? Holding out her pinky. Wan, pinky promise. Minhoo stares at her hand for a moment before reluctantly wrapping his tiny pinky around hers. For the first time, a small smile tugs at his lips, and Wan feels her heart swell with hope. She hesitates before softly adding, Wan, and you can call me Mama if you want, but only if you're ready. Minhoo's eyes widen slightly and he looks at her. With a mix of surprise and uncertainty, he doesn't respond, but the slight blush on his cheeks tells her she's made a small crack in his defenses. Smiling, Wan, so how about we team up? Operation Make Daddy Smile Again. Minhoo hesitates, then nods slowly. Minhoo, okay, but only because I want him to smile too. Wan laughs softly and ruffles his hair, making him pout and push her hand away. Just then Jungkook walks past the dining room. He pauses in the doorway, his sharp eyes narrowing as he sees Minhoo's small smile and hears the faint sound of Wan's laughter. The first time in a long while he's seen his son smile, and for a moment his cool demeanor softens. Without saying a word, he walks away, his expression unreadable. Back at the table, Wan and Minhoo huddle over his homework, planning their mission to make Jungkook smile. Wan feels like she's finally breaking through the little boy, and in her heart, she vows to keep her promise to him and to herself. The quiet hum of the night surrounds the John mansion. Wan stands in the kitchen staring at the steaming mug of tea she just prepared. She takes a deep breath, trying to muster the courage she needs. Jungkook had just come home and was sitting in his study, as he often did, lost in his cool, distant world. This time she was determined to break through the wall he had built around himself. She carefully picks up the mug and makes her way to his study. Reaching his door, she knocks lightly, her heart pounding in her chest. Wan, softly, Jungkook, can I come in? There's a moment of silence before his deep, emotionless voice responds. Jungkook, if it's important, taking that as a yes, Wan slowly opens the door. Jungkook is seated at his desk, his white shirt slightly unbuttoned, the sleeves rolled up to his forearms. His hair is slightly messy and his sharp features are illuminated by the soft glow of the desk lamp. He doesn't look up as he enters, hesitantly holding out the tea. Wan, I thought you might need this. You have been working late. Jungkook, I don't need tea. You don't have to trouble yourself. Wan feels a pang of disappointment but refuses to give up. She sets the mug down on his desk anyway and takes a step closer, trying to meet his gaze. Wan, Jungkook, I know you don't love me and I know I can't change things overnight, but I just want to be here for you. He finally looks up at her, his dark eyes cold and piercing. His tone is sharp, cutting through the air like a blade. Jungkook, be here for me. Don't waste your time. I don't marry you for companionship or love. This is just a deal between families. Wan's chest tightens at his words, but she presses on, refusing to let him see how much they hurt. Wan, maybe that's how it started, but it doesn't have to stay that way. I'm your wife now. Jungkook, I want to know, I want to help you. If you will let me. Jungkook stands abruptly, his towering figure making her take a step back instinctively. He grabs the tea and places it on a nearby shelf, as if to get rid of this gesture entirely. Jungkook, you don't know me and I just married you because of my parents. Stop trying to change me or this situation. You'll only end up hurting yourself. He walks past her, his presence cold and distant. Wan turned to face him, desperation creeping into her voice. Wan, Jungkook, why won't you let anyone in? Why won't you let me in? Jungkook stops at the door, his hands resting on the handle. Jungkook, because there's nothing to let you into. My world isn't meant for someone like you. And with that, he walks out, leaving Wan alone in the dimly lit room. She feels tears pricking at her eyes, but quickly wipes them away. Looking at the untouched tea, she takes a deep breath and steels herself.